their primary kick return man now that Theo Bell has left the club, but he won't get a chance to run this one back. It'll be a touchback. Booming boot by Lowry. 1st and 10, Pittsburgh at the Steeler 20. And there is Terry Bradshaw. His TV series with Mel Tillis went down the tubes. His football career still flourishes. Thornton and Harris are his backs. Stallworth and Swan are both banged up. May not be able to go the distance, but they are starting. Benny Cunningham, biggest tight end in the NFL at 260 pounds. There is the offensive line. And still a good one, despite taking on some age in some places. First play from scrimmage, Franco Harris, 3rd leading rusher in NFL history behind Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson, gets only a couple. He will go past, sometime this year, the 10,000-yard mark. The 3-4 Kansas City defense. Still and Bell, a couple of young draftees in recent years and among the very best, still in the Pro Bowl last year. Parrish, the nose tackle. Howard, Manu Maliuna, Spaney, and Charles Jackson starting in place of Whitney Paul, not because Paul is hurt, but because Jackson outplayed him in preseason. Green and Harris are the safeties, Christopher and Barbaro. Green and Harris rather the corners, Christopher and Barbaro the safeties. Sidney Thornton fumbles as he is hit, but Pittsburgh is there to cover it up. Steve Corson, the right guard, averted disaster. Thornton had a good gain going, but Trumpy coughed the football up.
So far, Pittsburgh straight ahead, relying on the strength of their offensive linemen. Good job by a defensive person in there who will remain nameless, but Corson, man on the job. Great strength in that offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Manu Maliuna seems to pull the ball away from Sidney Thornton.
So the ball is at the 28 where it is 3rd down and 2, and it is a double tight end offense out of a tight set. Grossman, number 84, is lined up alongside Cunningham, number 89. Give to Sidney Thornton. Hits right tackle into a stone wall. Doesn't get the first down. Frank Manu Maliuna pushed him back.
One of the things that has been a very well-kept secret around the NFL is the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs. With Art Still, with Spaney, with Manu Maliuna. Watch Larry Brown here on Still. Double team block down, but well filled by the linebacker up inside. Exactly the way they draw it up. Spaney, Manu Maliuna on the stop. It is 4th down.
Back drops J.T. Smith, last year's leading punt return man, and this is Craig Colquitt. His stats from 1980, he has never had a punt block in his NFL career. Smith averaged 14.5 yards per return last season, brought 2 of them back for scores. Colquitt, a 2-step punter, gets it away quickly. J.T. Smith backpedals to the 19, and here he comes. But he's not going too far. There's a flag down on the play as Smith hits the turf at about the 26. The punt went 50 yards. The return is good for 5 or 6. And let's see what the call will be. Jim Tunney is the referee.
Holding Kansas City. You hate to start that. The Kansas City philosophy presently is play, hopefully, field position with their defense. Get the ball, get the 3 downs and out for the offense, and then take the ball over a good field position. And a penalty like that, normally it's against a youngster, a rookie trying to make the ball club, a little over-anxious. Veterans will use good discretion there and not take the penalty in that situation.
Holding during the punt return, number 34, 10 yards, 1st down.
Guilty party is a youngster, Lloyd Burris.
Usually happens, opening game jitters, trying to do the best he possibly can.
Al Dixon starting at tight end, one of 4 tight ends on their roster. They drafted Willie Scott, number 1, and Marvin Harvey, number 3. They see Scott as the starting tight end of the future, but Dixon played so well during preseason, he's got the starting nod at least temporarily. James Hadnot, 2nd-year man out of Texas Tech with a good game, carrying off the right side on 1st down. Lauren Taves, the left side linebacker, makes the stop. L.C. Greenwood, Mean Joe Green, Gary Dunn, and John Banaszak. There is some age there, especially on the left side with Greenwood and Green. Lauren Taves in place of the injured Pro Bowler Jack Ham, who broke his arm and will be out 3 or 4 more weeks. Lambert, last year's AFC Defensive Player of the Year, and Robin Cole on the right side. You saw the corners, Johnson and the veteran Blunt. J.T. Thomas is the free safety with the retirement of Mike Wagner. Donnie Shell is the strong safety. Hadnot carries, and he has a Kansas City 1st down before J.T. Thomas stops him.
Understand, Bob, that Kansas City is in a very tenuous position with Bill Kinney playing today. Steve Fuller is out. Watch the trap on Joe Green. Good block. Jack Rudney, the center. Herkenhoff, left guard. Buddy trying to move people out. Hadnot up the middle. 240 pounds, used to play tight end.
Old acquaintances there. Rudney in his 13th season, Green in his 14th. They've butted heads before. From the 26, it's 1st and 10. Kenny hasn't thrown a pass yet. Ted McKnight trying to come outside. He was their leading rusher last year. Maybe a yard. Ron Johnson, the left corner, with the tackle.
Great support. Great support. Very characteristic of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Those linebackers and the cornerbacks they have are very tough cookies. And Johnson is a guy who was somewhat hurt with the rules and regulations now in the NFL when it comes to pass coverage. But when it comes to support, he can hit with the linebackers.
They give him a gain of 2 and call it 2nd and 8.
And a first passing situation for Kansas City.
Marshall goes wide to the left. J.T. Smith is on the right side. In motion, the tight end, Al Dixon. They keep it on the ground. Hadnot hits right tackle and is shoved back. Robin Cole among the tacklers. Gary Dunn also there.
Interesting. Interesting. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense was not vulnerable to the run last year. They were vulnerable to the pass, and of course the lack of pass rush was the reason for that. I'm rather surprised that Kansas City doesn't come out here winging it.
Marv Levy, 4 and 12 in 78, his first year, improved to 7 and 9, and then 8 and 8. Even that 8 and 8 deceptive. They lost their first 4 last year, then took 8 of their final 12. Look out! Flags all over the place.
Free play.
Will not
Free
have
play.
to release it. L.C. Greenwood holding the ankle of Bill Kenny and saying, "We'll be acquainted later."
Just a little bit of the intimidation that those Black Hats have used over the last 10 or 11 years. They're masters at it. Not really flagrant, but just carrying the play to its end reminds you that 68 can still play. I'm the one with the gold shoes. LC.
Defensive line, encroachment, 3rd down.
See if we can pick it up here.
Deceptive snap count by Kenny. Most of the defensive linemen of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the neutral zone. Defensive offside. Now 3rd down and a little bit over a yard.
Instead of 3rd and 6, we call it 3rd and 1, and Kenny still will, in all likelihood, not have to throw a pass. McKnight and Hadnot are the backs. Billy Jackson.
No.
No? Well, let's see. Maybe. Let's see what kind of spot they give him.
If they're generous, they'll give it to him. I'm not sure.
Billy Jackson, the rookie from Alabama. L.C. Greenwood hit him first. John Banaszak arguing for a favorable Steelers spot.
Watch McKnight and Banaszak.
Donnie Shell was there first. Banaszak decided that the odds were more favorable if he stepped in.
The first game of the season, they did give them the first down. Second first down. Good possession by Kansas City. But the first game of the season is important for all players. You establish some superiority, that you're not out there to lie down and play dead. Therefore, Banaszak and McKnight trying to remind each other that they're here to play.
Shot from our elevated NBC camera here at Three Rivers. 9:45 on the first quarter clock. The ball at the 37 of Kansas City as Dixon goes in motion and Kenny drops back to throw. He swings one out to McKnight. Ted McKnight dancing around tackling, turning it into a good play across the 45 to the 47-yard line of Kansas City. And that should be another chief first down.
Tempers flaring here early in the ballgame, Bob. I must tell you, I'm sure it was very, very difficult for the Pittsburgh Steelers players to live in Pittsburgh this offseason for the first time in their some of these guys' career.
Personal fouls, 56 offense, 56 defense. Correction, 89 offense, 56 defense. Offset after the first down. First down, Kansas City.
So Henry Marshall and Robin Cole got into it, and the penalties offset. The ball stays where it was at the 47 of KC.
As I was about to say, for the first time in a number of years, Pittsburgh players have had to look at themselves as you watch Robin Cole and Henry Marshall extracurricular activity. But I imagine we're going to have a lot of incidents of the Pittsburgh Steelers trying to show their brawn today early.
And these fans are pumped. They are looking for a return to Steeler form, Steeler dominance.
Football is a passion here, not a sport.
I think it's fair to say that not since the glory days of the Packers in Green Bay as McKnight carries for about 3. Not since the Lombardi glory era in Green Bay has an NFL team so embodied the spirit, the image, the identity of the town it represents as the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s.
Well put.
A look from behind at the Steeler bench.
You'll notice, too, that it'll be a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers on and off the field today, which is uncharacteristic of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last 10 years. They had 11 guys they started with, and they played them from the first down to the last down. Now there are a great many substitutions.
2nd and 7 from just shy of midfield. Smith on the right and Marshall on the left. The handoff is to McKnight. A couple, no more. Fumble came after the whistle. He picked it up anyway. Jack Lambert, the tackle. Lambert at 220, one of the smaller middle linebackers in the NFL. You'd never know it if you were hit by him.
Makes his living with quickness, though, Bob. Really is mobile behind that defensive line. And a lot of the idea of the defensive strategy of Pittsburgh is to keep people off Jack Lambert.
Dixon, the tight end, out. Carlos Carson, number 88, is in as a third wide receiver. More motion along the line. Kinney is in trouble, running for his life. Throws on the run, incomplete.
There's no flag.
They let it go by, no flag. They're going to have to punt.
Punt.
Did you see what I saw?
Well, it may have been a quick snap by one Jack Rudney, but it caught the offensive lineman of the Kansas City Chiefs unawares.
Larry Anderson and Jim Smith go back to await the kick by Bob Grubb. Grubb, like Colquitt, is a two-step punter. So we're seeing two of the very few two-step punters in the NFL in the same game today. Grubb gets it away. Smith lets it bounce. Out of bounds inside the 20. As a matter of fact, last year he put 23 punts inside the 20-yard line. That was the best mark in the AFC. A 34-yard kick that time. The clock reads 7:55 to play first quarter. For the Steelers, in which they were 14-4 in 18 games. 15 players presently on the roster played in all 4 of their Super Bowl victories. 33 of them played in at least one. Some of these guys have almost a full extra season of experience just in postseason play.
True, true.
On first down, they swing it to Sidney Thornton. And Thornton struggles to the 20-yard line. Gain of 1, maybe 2. Gary Spaney, who has led the Chiefs in tackles all 3 years he's been in the league, gets credit for that stop.
For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think you'll see a lot more of what you just saw. That is, passes out the flat to the backs. There's Chuck Noll. He is the orchestrator of this fine franchise. But they are going to try to throw the ball to the backs and to the tight end a lot more instead of forcing it downfield to their 2 outside receivers, Swan and Stallworth.
Bradshaw has always been wide receiver oriented throughout his career. He'll take the drop here and look. Rolling left and throwing deep over the middle into some heavy coverage and nearly intercepted. Gary Barbaro was there, the free safety, and he had plenty of help. Swan was the target. Lynn caught 44 a year ago.
That's one of the problems that Terry Bradshaw has had. He will put it up.
Last year, as you see, Kansas City ranking way up there on the interception total. 7 by Eric Harris, 10 of them by Gary Barbaro.
Pittsburgh now going with 3 wide receivers. Benny Cunningham comes out. And Jim Smith, who last year came up large in the absence of Stallworth and Swan with 9 touchdown passes.
When they go 3 wide receivers, they always put Smith alone on one side so that Stallworth and Swan are on the other side and they can't double cover them both. This time it's Smith on the left. Bradshaw through the hands of the defender Harris, and then Stallworth can't hold it either. Stallworth, because of that foot injury, limited to just 9 receptions in 1980. There's a flag down on the play.
Whoops. Illegal use of the hands, Pittsburgh. It's going to be a good matchup all day, Bob.
Illegal use of the hands, pushing in the back. Number 55, declined, forked out.
That is Kolb on Bell. Here's the defense. This is the way you see it from the end of the end zone. This is where the game is played today. Downfield. Watch Harris just get his hand in the way. Good defense by Eric Harris. Guy who came out of Canada last year and caused a real row in Kansas City with his big contract, but earned his keep.
Off the side of Colquitt's foot. I do not believe it was deflected. I think it was simply a bad punt. He was under some pressure. As we mentioned earlier, he has never had one blocked. Just a 21-yard punt, and Kansas City takes over in Pittsburgh territory. Coming right back. They send the tight end Dixon out wide to the right. And Marshall is wide to the left. Again, there is motion along the line and hold everything.
On the offense, I believe, they'll get Charlie Getty for moving too quickly. Number 77.
A moment ago, we saw Chuck Noll on the Pittsburgh sideline. His record, as he enters his 13th season here, 123, 68, and 1. Impressive enough. Illegal procedure against the Chiefs. But when you consider the fact that he opened 12 and 30 and then has built that record since then, there was a 1 and 13 season in there early on, and you realize just how dominant his club has been.
Ball start, offense, still first down.
First down and 15.
He can take some of the credit, but some of his first couple of drafts were outstanding. Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, Mel Blount in 1 year.
The Mike Wagners, the Bradshaws, the Harrises, all in the space of 2 or 3 years to build the dynasty. Dixon in motion. Kinney dropping. Delayed handoff. Ted McKnight looking for running room. Sheds a tackle and loses the ball. Pittsburgh's got it. Picked up on a hop by Jack Lambert. Lambert brings it back across midfield. It'll be first down at the 47-yard line of the Chiefs for Pittsburgh. Lambert's Lunatics have reason to whoop it up.
That has always been one of the earmarks of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That was not evident last year. Big plays by their defense. Lambert, always around the football. At 220 pounds, turns fullback here. That's the way Pittsburgh beats you.
We have 6 minutes and 46 seconds to play in the first quarter. Still no score, but now it's Pittsburgh's turn to threaten. Pulled by McKnight and brought it back into Kansas City territory. Last year, McKnight led the Chiefs in rushing yards with 693, but he averaged just 3.4, and it's obvious they continually try to set him up and try and break something, give him some room to run, but as yet he has not given them that outside threat. Two wide receivers on the right side. Harris and Thornton, the running backs, behind Terry Bradshaw. Bradshaw dropping on first down. With time. Swings it left side. Franco the catch. Driven out of bounds. Inside the 40-yard line of Kansas City.
Run out of bounds by Jackson.
Baltimore jumps in front of New England 3-zip on a 42-yard field goal by Mike Wood, who was sent off to the Colts this week by the Chargers. There's 11:33 to play in the first quarter there. 3-zip Colts.
Once again, the pass out on the flat to Franco Harris last week against the New York Giants. Harris caught 6 passes, rather unusual in his career. Primarily a runner as opposed to a pass receiver.
They got 9 at 2nd and 1. 6:39 to play in the first. The handoff is to Franco. He'll sneak right. He'll get the first down. He'll lower his head. He'll deliver some punishment. He'll skip out of bounds. Gary Green shoved him out.
There's a man whose place in the Hall of Fame has already been dusted. You realize he has 7 1,000-yard seasons, 37 100-yard games, although last year he had just 2, and for the first time in his career, or I should say for the first time since I believe 1971, he did not make 1,000 yards. But that means he's also carried it an awful lot of times, too.
He and Jim Brown share the record with 7 1,000-yard seasons. Of course, Franco has had some years where he played 16 games. Brown had some where he played 12, never more than 14. You look at Jimmy Brown's marks against the other greats, the Paytons, the Simpsons, the Harrises, and consider the averages and everything else, Jimmy Brown becomes all the more impressive. Here's John Stallworth, that great season in 1979. More than 1,000 yards in receptions, capped by the 2 great grabs against the Rams in the Super Bowl. Trying to come back this year. He makes the catch this time.
From a bone graft in his foot 5 years ago, John Stallworth would have been on the sideline probably for the remainder of his life. Now with new things in orthopedic surgery, he can play.
No way they do that procedure, huh? 5, 6 years ago?
No, I don't think they'd even try. Notice the momentum that turnover by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has given the offense.
Cunningham, the tight end on the left side. Stallworth slot right. Swan wide right. First and 10, 18-yard line. Keeping it in the air. Bradshaw out of the pocket. Fires. In the end zone, intended broken up. Benny Cunningham at 260 pounds, but still, Bob, with excellent speed.
He is in the past been called bionic, but this may be the crucial year for Benny Cunningham. He doesn't start catching the ball. I'm not sure if that could have been a reception, but Bradshaw was correct in throwing the ball low. Cunningham was open. He's got to make those catches. Let's lay it on Benny.
Randy Grossman, his backup, has some cracked ribs, 2 of them. Light play today, but if so, with a flak jacket on. 2nd and 10 from the 18-yard line. We have no score. The Steelers are threatening. Bradshaw, quick snap and drop. And he throws over the middle into heavy coverage for deflection and the catch. Touchdown, John Stallworth.
That ball went through 3 sets of hands, Bob. I think they're still talking about it. No catch. The ball bounced on the ground and went through.
3rd down. The ball was trapped, hit the ground, incomplete pass, 3rd down.
One official had signaled touchdown, Trump.
I believe it went through Thomas Howard's hands, then through Sidney Thornton's hands, and then into Stallworth's hands. 1, 2. Yes, sir, it bounced. Excellent call. Excellent call.
Hit the ground as he juggled it. 3rd and 10. They've got to go to the 8. One more look. Smith on the left. Swan wide right. Stallworth slot right. Bradshaw again with time. Touchdown this time. No question about it. Lynn Swan. He got in behind Gary Green, who was beaten only twice for touchdowns all last season. But Lynn Swan got 6.
One of the all-time greats at the receiver position, and in the years that he's played, now in his 8th season, you realize that this number 88 of the Pittsburgh Steelers has never had a 1,000-yard pass reception season.
But he makes every one count, and they come in clutch situations. Here's a big story. Dave Trout, and an even bigger story now, as he misses his first point-after-touchdown try. Dave Trout, a rookie from Pittsburgh. They cut Matt Barr to keep him. Trout kicks off deeper, but there is question about his placement accuracy. And those questions continue. 6-zip Steelers.
At Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium, the Seahawks have moved ahead of the Bengals. Kenny Anderson looking for a receiver. Instead, finding number 44, John Harris. He brings it back for the touchdown. Seattle was in front, 7-0. Let's go back to Pittsburgh. The double Bobs, Costas and Trumpy.
Dave Trout put 11 of his 14 kickoffs during preseason into the end zone. That's what got him the job over Matt Barr. This one, he is boomed right to the goal line where Carlos Carson takes him. And they stop him near the 20. That's what the Steeler people were telling us yesterday, Trump. They feel that their defense, which quite honestly is not as overpowering as it has been in the past, their defense needs some help. And the long kickoffs of Trout are going to have those opposing offenses starting around the 20-yard line. 5-6 years ago, they keep Barr and cut Trout, but now things are different.
But they are also giving up on 200 points the last 2 seasons. Matt Barr, 96 last year, 100 the year before, and that's the man that made the decision, Chuck Noll.
Trout never even kicked field goals until he was a senior at Pitt, when he hit 15 out of 20. In the preseason, he was 1 of 2. You saw him just miss his first regular season conversion try. Joe Delaney, the rookie out of Northwest Louisiana, little guy at 5'10 and 180, is stopped by L.C. Greenwood. L.C. Greenwood will be 35 years of age on Tuesday.
Bob, I think it's safe to say that Kansas City is so afraid of losing their quarterback, Kenny, the only one with experience that they have, that they're going to run the ball all day.
Bob Galliano is behind him. Steve Fuller is in uniform on the sideline with damaged cartilage in his knee. Under no circumstances would he play. If both Galliano and Kenny were hurt, Bob Grupp, the punter, would become the quarterback. 5:22 and counting. 2nd and 5 from the 25. Kenny under pressure, being chased and unloading, incomplete.
Interference.
No flag.
The official reached for his flag and then stopped.
Let's watch Robin Cole.
I think he should have pulled it out. You'll see Kenny throw back across his body, which is a very, very tough thing to do. There's the offensive line looking for protection. Throwing back over. 67 all over him.
Gary Dunn.
Gary Dunn. We're not going to see the interference, but I think the official should have kept reaching for that flag.
Marv Levy said about 2 weeks ago, if his club kept as many as 10 rookies this year, he'd be worried. I checked the Chief roster just prior to kickoff. They got 10 rookies.
Uh-oh.
Bill Kenny. Last year threw just 69 passes, completed 54% of them. 5 of them went for scores. Joe Delaney on 3rd and 5, trying to sweep, got the first down, and then he skips out of bounds.
Should not have skipped out of bounds. He could have gained another 5 yards.
J.T. Thomas was chasing him and closing ground as Delaney elected to step out.
We mentioned the quarterback situation of the Kansas City Chiefs. We have it on good authority that Mr. Pastorini, depending on the situation with Bill Kenny after this game, may be in Kansas City to talk turkey with the Chiefs come Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
About a week ago, they said they were not interested in him. Now they've changed their minds. Kenny with a big game against the Colts toward the end of last season. Filling in for Steve Fuller now. 5:09 on the clock. The give is to Mike Williams. And Williams is brought down by Lauren Taves and plenty of friends.
Better in coverage than he is against the run, but he plays behind a great defensive end in L.C. Greenwood. That's the young man that a few years ago, there's Steve Fuller sitting on the sideline. Orthoscopic knee surgery about, 3 weeks ago? I think he's got 2 weeks left before he can come back, and they want to take no chances with him.
At least that long. Taves threw Williams for a loss of 3. 2nd and 13 from the 35-yard line. Kenny backpedaling against the pressure. Lobs it out to Mike Williams. Williams in goal and brought down at the 38. Only 3 yards. It'll be 3rd and 10. And Jack Lambert, as always, was right around the ball.
Stopped by Lambert, Johnson.
Well set up by the offense, but Mr. Williams has to realize that when you get the ball right there, go straight up the field and take your chances instead of trying to dance.
Can you give me a list of linebackers who play pass coverage better than Jack Lambert?
Yeah, Jack Ham. But that's, I believe, where the list ends.
Stan Rome has come in as a 3rd wide receiver. 3rd and 10 and a good look at Bill Kenny. Grabbed by Henry Marshall, spins away, good move, lunges across the yardstick, I believe, depending upon where they spot it, and he might have the first down solely on individual effort.
Pass underneath the linebackers. There's Lauren Taves. You'll see Marshall catch the ball directly in front of him. This is a missed tackle. Should be 4th down. A good move by Henry Marshall, who wears that famous 89 of the Kansas City Chiefs color, once owned by one Otis Taylor.
Henry Marshall, veteran out of Missouri, gets the first down. From the 48-yard line of Kansas City. The Chiefs were in Pittsburgh territory earlier and couldn't keep the drive going. Joe Delaney carries. And Delaney gets 3 or 4 yards right into the middle of the steel curtain defense. And that means Jack Lambert was involved on the hit. Gary Dunn also there.
You see some of the substitutions that Pittsburgh is now using. They have Bob Coors in there at a defensive end. I tell you, it's amazing. 4 years ago, Pittsburgh would not make a substitution unless somebody was bleeding or had a broken bone. They had 11 guys that they played with in all kinds of weather.
Now, as a concession to that age, they will use different fronts, different combinations, plenty of personnel, unlike the Super Bowl year. Straight pattern, and Henry Marshall is gone. Touchdown, game tied.
There's nothing to that. That's too easy. That's way too easy. Obviously a mix-up in the defensive backfield. Pittsburgh had number 42 in there.
Marv Levy rejoices. Boy, that happened in a hurry.
Yeah. Anthony Washington, rookie defensive back, was in there, and somebody missed coverage. You'll see 31 Donnie Shell in the general vicinity. 24 J.T. Thomas. A rare mistake by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And now a chance for Kansas City to go on top because of the missed extra point.
Nick Lowry hit all 37 of his point after touchdown tries a year ago. Young man out of Dartmouth. One of the great long-distance kickers had a 57-yard field goal a year ago. Perfect. Kansas City has taken the lead at 7-6. We've got 2 minutes and 14 seconds to play in the first quarter. Now is in Canada. Check these first-round choices by the Chiefs, who, of course, were picking much earlier than the Steelers, who are always picking last or close to it. Gary Green in 1977. Art Still in 78. Mike Bell in 79. Brad Buddy in 1980. This will be a touchback. Another good boot by Lowry. And this year, Willie Scott from South Carolina, who ultimately will be their starting tight end. So they have used those first-round draft choices very, very well.
You eventually pay the price for being the Super Bowl champion, and that is picking 28th in the first round. Baltimore now extends its lead over New England, 10-0.
Colts were 0-4 in preseason, and last year New England kicked them all over the lot a couple of times. They're out for revenge.
Kansas City scoring drive, 80 yards, 7 plays, 3 minutes and 47 seconds, and the last 28 to Henry Marshall.
Bradshaw brings him back, 51% completion mark in 1980. After the play fake, he throws long, and the catch made. Oh, what a dandy grab. A great catch by John Stallworth. 37-yard pickup. You were right, though, Trump. Swan was running a fly pattern, and it looked to me like he was open.
Swan was the decoy. Stallworth up the field, out to the sideline, then up. This is put on the line by Terry Bradshaw. That is a great, great throw, and tremendous concentration on the football. You say you want to play professional football, son? Well, you got to do this, too. That's along with driving the big, fancy foreign cars.
We called it a gain of 37. Make it 27. Just inside 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. Harrison Thornton are the running back. Sidney Thornton gets the call and nudges across midfield. Loose football. Loose football. Who's got it? Oh, Pittsburgh retains possession. Update time. Let's go to Brian Gumble in New York.
Thank you, Bob Costas. At Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the Seahawks are pouring it on the Bengals. Still first quarter action. Jim Zorn up top to Steve Largent, 36 yards. Seahawks out in front by a score of 14-0. Bob?
Benny Cunningham made that last recovery for Pittsburgh. Last year, Kansas City was second best in the entire NFL behind the Atlanta Falcons on the giveaway takeaway table. Number of turnovers they picked off, and as against the number they gave away. Here's another fumble, and they pick it up, and it may go for a score. Jackson gets around Harris. Charles Jackson inside the 20, and Charles Jackson is down at the 15-yard line.
Whoops. How often in the last 10 years have you heard people in Pittsburgh boo? An all-out blitz by the Kansas City Chiefs. All 4 linebackers were coming. You'll see them in the backfield just as he gets the football. Still, Spaney, Bell, all 3 of them are there. Picked up by Jackson. Wow.
Talk about speak of the devil, Trump. I was just saying that only Atlanta was better on that giveaway takeaway table a year ago than the Chiefs. And in virtually all of their 8 victories in 1980, the Chiefs took the ball away more frequently than they gave it up. Let's see if they can capitalize on this turnover.
Steelers now had 3 fumbles, lost 1.
Just over a minute to play from the 15-yard line. First and 10, leading 7-6. The Chiefs go to work. Joe Delaney bangs for a good gain. Down to the 8-yard line. Banaszak wraps him up. Gain of 7.
They are picking on presently Joe Green, Bob. They are trapping him. The left guard is coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs. And that is Brad Buddy, first-round draft choice last year. The only father and son first-round draft choice for the same team in the history of the NFL. The old man is Ed.
Second down and a short 4. They pitch it back to Delaney. Delaney, the rookie.
Flag. I think we're going to have a major penalty here against Kansas City. I won't give his number, but I think I saw an offensive lineman push a Pittsburgh Steeler in the back. Illegal use of the hands? Yes, sir.
You got it.
They'll give you the number. I think it's 66, Brad Buddy.
Buddy, the youngster of Kansas City's offensive line in his second year of USC. Everybody else has at least 6 years of experience.
Illegal good use of the hands, pushing in the back. Number 48,
Whoops.
10 yards, still second down.
I apologize to Ed, to Brad, and everybody named Buddy. Mr. Hadnot.
So the ball is pushed back to the 17-yard line. Where it's second down and 12 yards to go. Bill Kinney with time, pumping it long. Nobody anywhere near it except Mel Blunt, and it's over his head too, and out of the end zone.
Good coverage by the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive backs. Mel Blunt covering Marshall. Mel Blunt's been covering people all over the field for a number of years. You'll see the good coverage. And that's supposed to be illegal, but not a lot, just a little. But Kenny threw it away. Good choice. I would expect right here, historically, the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is their big play position. Blitz or something out of the ordinary to disrupt the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Carlos Carson in, third wide receiver. Tight end Al Dixon out. They need 12. They swing it to Delaney and get nothing.
Tough catch to make. Tough catch to make. Running straight away from the football. Ball is thrown directly behind the young man. He can't stop his momentum and come around and pick it up.
Well, the Chiefs got inside the 10-yard line of Pittsburgh, and at most, they will come away with 3. Lowry, 20 of 26 field goals last year, and almost all the boots he missed were very long. As a matter of fact, he hit 4 of 7 from beyond 50 yards. Rupp kneels at the 25. This is a 35-yard attempt, which Nick Lowry hits, and it's perfect.
Flag on the play. They got 12 guys on the field. Pittsburgh has 12 guys on the field.
Well, they'll decline it in that case, because the 5 yards would not give them the first.
On defense, 12 men on the field, and encroachment, both on defense.
That's the George Hallis trick.
Hey, it worked for the Papa Bear. Doesn't work for Chuck Noll, at least not this time.
Take the points. Take the points.
Yeah, they got to, because the 5 yards won't give them what they need.
Both fouls, encroachment defense, too many men on the field, defense, decline, field goal, count, 3 points.
Score is Kansas City.
Once again, mental mistakes by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very uncharacteristic. I think Chuck Noll can put up with performance deficiencies because of age, but when you've got 12 men on the field, that's when you get out the whip if you're the head coach. These people in Pittsburgh are sophisticated football fans, realizing in that situation right there where the boo was, Sidney Thornton was late getting on the field. They want full concentration from these Pittsburgh Steelers. As I said, this is a passion in Three Rivers Stadium. It is not a sport.
A writer for the Boston Globe described Pittsburgh and its fans as a place where tough jobs produce tough people who relish a tough game. Lowry connects. Anderson again will have to sit on it. Boy, Nick Lowry's really doing the job today for the Chiefs.
That's exactly what Pittsburgh wants out of their kicker.
And that was the last play of the first quarter. When we come back, it'll be 1st and 10 Pittsburgh at their own 20-yard line at the end of the first 15 minutes. Chiefs 10, Steelers 6.
New York at Foxborough, the Patriots are on the board against the Colts. You're looking at Steve Grogan. Give here to Andy Johnson. Option pass into the end zone to Mosa Tupu. Patriots trail by 3. It's 10-7. Let's go back to Pittsburgh.
Can they be the best again in '81 and get that one for the thumb that they were talking about a year ago? And by the way, looking at a banner, where's the steel curtain banner, Trump?
Gone. Took it down last year.
Franco Harris carries off the left side. Franco Harris, who came into this game with 9,352 career rushing yards, plus an extra 1,000, more than 1,000 in postseason play.
He has actually played 2 extra years just in postseason competition by the number of carries. It's something like 384. Got a report from the Steeler bench that Ron Johnson, starting cornerback for the Steelers, is out with a bad ankle.
Harris got 4 to the 24, second down at 6, opening seconds of the second quarter. Chiefs lead at 10-6. The give is to Greg Hawthorne.
Bob, notice very closely now the running backs of the Pittsburgh Steelers are carrying the ball like the thing is worth $1 million. They do not want to fumble the football, and it takes away some of the real spurt of the running backs. You saw Hawthorne there really cradling the football.
Hawthorne's reputation is that he is a better pass receiver than anything else. And as we mentioned earlier, Bradshaw appears more inclined to go tight end and to go to his backs these days than in the past when he used to air it out almost exclusively to that great core of wide receivers.
At least that's what the offensive coaches want him to do.
Both wide receivers are on the right side, 3rd and 2. Give it to Franco. Gets the 2 yards and then some. Lowers his head, moves across the 35-yard line.
Stop by Burris. Barbaro.
One of the greats. I wonder if it's the number. All the 32s that have played the game. Hartshard still 67, best defensive lineman in the Kansas City Chiefs. Runs right by him. He tries to run around the block of Larry Brown.
Franco Harris just shy of 800 yards last year, breaking that string of 1,000-yard seasons. Bradshaw rolling right.
Right in three.
Benny Cunningham. Cunningham picking up some blocks. Benny Cunningham out near midfield. It's a Pittsburgh first down. Charles Jackson, the man who made the fumble recovery and long run a while ago, gets in on the tackle.
That young man could be a big part in the success of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. He is yet to live up to his potential. His statistics this year weighing about 260 pounds. He is very, very difficult to bring down, but he's never really kept his head in the football game. Physically, he's one of the best. But emotionally and spiritually, he's got a long way to go.
Clock moving, 12:20 to play as Bradshaw takes a quick snap and drops back. He's got time. He throws it out to the right side, and Franco Harris makes the catch out of the backfield. Franco Harris is in Kansas City territory at about the 44-yard line. Thomas Howard hits him and stops him.
2 successive passes, one to the tight end on a screen, and to Franco Harris out of the backfield.
The Steelers, Trump, are doing a lot of shifting along their offensive line. Too much to keep track of play to play, but generally speaking, they're giving those veterans some relief up there.
Yeah, they have 3 guards in Corson, Wolfley, and McGriff, and they have 3 tackles in Cole, Brown, and Penny. And all 6 of those guys will move in and out. The only consistent performer, Mike Webster, all-pro center for the last 4 or 5 years.
Playing in his 120th consecutive game, did not miss a single offensive play in 1980. They pitch it back to Greg Hawthorne, and Hawthorne gets a rude how do you do. Charles Jackson led the charge. There's number 34, Lloyd Burris, a rookie out of Maryland, and ultimately they think he may well be their starting strong safety. Right now, Herb Christopher is the guy, but Burris is playing a lot already and may be the starter eventually.
3rd-round pick this year. There's Chuck Noll, the Pittsburgh Steeler head man, and Mark Malone, the young man on the sideline there, who was drafted as a quarterback and caught 3 passes last week as a wide receiver against the New York Giants.
They did that with another player, Bill Hurley, quarterback out of Syracuse a couple of years ago. Made him a defensive back, ultimately had to cut him. New Orleans picked him up. All right, here's a 3rd down play from just outside the Kansas City 45-yard line.
Harris.
Look out, Terry. Avoids the rush and unloads. Incomplete, intended for Cunningham.
Franco Harris was wide open. Good pressure by Art Still and company.
You mentioned to me, Bob, earlier that throughout the years, Pittsburgh's wide receivers have run their patterns deeper than almost any other core of wide receivers in the league. Does that remain true?
Yes, I believe so. As long as they can maintain that consistent running game, they have very, very strong offensive linemen. They get good pass protection, Bradshaw does. And it distorts the defense a little more than usual, no matter who they play. Their receivers run 2, 3, maybe even 4 yards deeper than usual.
Craig Colquitt's last punt was hurried and carried only 21 yards. This one he's trying to put out down in the coffin corner, but it goes right into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. So the net on this is only 25 yards. The line of scrimmage was the 45 of Kansas City. Now the Chiefs will take the ball at their own 20. We have 10 minutes and 27 seconds to play 2nd quarter, Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers trail the Chiefs. Come and gone since Mean Joe Green was Chuck Noll's #1 choice out of North Texas State, and the reality is that Joe Green will play less this year than at any time in the past when he has been healthy.
Yeah, actually, because of postseason appearances, he's played 14 years worth of games.
pitch is to 10 McKnight, and McKnight cannot sweep left. A gain of 1 at the very most. Chased and brought down by Gary Dunn, number 67.
I have yet to win my first game as a head football coach in the NFL, but this is no time to be conservative. Watch the man on the right of Marv Levy give the hand signals to the quarterback. Here's the pitch to McKnight. But Robin Cole stands up, had not, and done in on the tackle.
Bill Kenny, the Kansas City quarterback, playing with bruised, damaged ribs. He was hit hard a couple of weeks ago in a preseason game by Lee Nelson of the Cardinals. And he's very, very vulnerable to a hit today. And should he be sidelined, the very inexperienced Bob Galliano would get the call. They give it to McKnight. Hits left tackle. Only a couple.
Bob, if I may make a comment, though, your statement on Galliano is very true, but Galliano can do this. He can hand off. I think if you have a healthy quarterback, you must throw the football. Jack Lambert, number 58. Watch the quickness. Avoids the block by the tight end. Right there to make the tackle. He is a gifted performer, and he's the leader on that defense. They cannot do anything without Jack Lambert in there, that defense.
3rd and 8 from the 22-yard line. Clock moving, exactly 9 minutes to play in the first half. The Chiefs lead it by a score of 10-6. 3 wide receivers set up as Stan Rome has come in.
Blitz.
Bill Kenny in trouble and sacked. Jack Lambert got there on the blitz. Had just 18 quarterback sacks, the lowest total in the NFL. But conversely, Kansas City was the worst team in the entire league at protecting their quarterback. So I don't know which is the more important factor, but Kenny winds up on the seat of his pants. Now good field position awaits the Steelers. Bob Grupp will have to kick out of his own end zone. High snap, gets it away. Smith lets it bounce, a Pittsburgh bounce. Inside the 40 of Kansas City. Punt carries just 28 yards. Clock reads 8 minutes, 22 seconds to play. First half, Steelers have a chance to go back in front. Good field position here in this ballpark. The Chiefs led the Steelers 16-7. It was Rocky Blyer's last home game as a member of the Pittsburgh club. The Steelers rallied late and won at 21-16. Here the Chiefs lead it 10-6. Just over 8 minutes to play in the first half. It is Pittsburgh ball at the 38-yard line of Kansas City. They give us to Franco Harris. Harris has about 6 yards before being stopped by Gary Spady, one of the inside linebackers.
Watch that play for years. The weak side sweep.
Franco Harris has had only one 100-yard game in a season opener. That's an oddity. That came in 1977 against the San Francisco 49ers. We pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network. Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy, Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Season opener, Chiefs and the Steelers. Beautiful day, temperature 70 degrees. Pittsburgh on the march. Greg Hawthorne right into the middle of that 3-4 defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, and close to a first down. They may measure.
Once again, protecting that football very much. Art Still takes on Larry Brown. That's two Hulks right there. Look at the quickness. In on the tackle. He is a fine, fine player. Made the Pro Bowl last year out of Kentucky. First-round draft choice a couple, 3 years ago. He can play.
It should be Ron Johnson. Yeah, it is. Trouble with that ankle. Out for the rest of the game, we're told. This is going to be 3rd and less than a yard coming up. Interesting contrast between the two ends in that 3-4 setup. Art Still, strictly a finesse guy. Very smooth, almost effortless. Mike Bell, a wild man on the other side. Tight formation Steelers. In motion Hawthorne. They ask Franco to get it. He does.
Flag.
Penalty marker down.
Offsides, Kansas City.
Well, you take the penalty here because 5 is more than what Franco got on the carry.
Johnson's injury must be serious. He's going off in a wheelchair, Bob. At the left 10-yard line, there he goes.
Encroachment, lining up in the neutral zone, number 55.
Tapes will look good if he applies for workman's comp. He looks pretty relaxed to me.
Yeah, that's certainly a bad start, though, for a defense that is having their problems.
From the 23-yard line now. Stallworth left, and Swan is right. Bradshaw. Sideline pattern. Catch is made by John Stallworth. Eric Harris was there on the coverage. Second down play coming up, but first let's go to New York. And here's Bryant Gumbel. Bryant?
Okay, thanks, Bob. At St. Louis Busch Stadium, the Dolphins have found some offense to go with that great defense. David Woodley looking into the corner of the end zone finds Jimmy Cefalo out of Penn State. Touchdown, Miami out in front of St. Louis, 10-0 in the second. Bob?
The connection between Bradshaw and Stallworth was good for 8. Now it's Stallworth in a slot right, and Swan is wide to the right. On second down and 2 from the 16-yard line.
Quarterback's dream, this spot right here, 2nd and 2. So many things you can do.
They keep it on the ground. Franco goes through the hole. First down. First and goal, Pittsburgh.
Like, get the first down. Go to your bread and butter back. Franco always seems to start very slow. Well, Chuck Noll did not use him a lot in the preseason. Still has the strength. Fine ball carrier. Look at there. Heading towards 100.
There may never have been a time when Franco Harris was regarded at any one particular time as the very best running back in football, but he has spanned 2 eras. The O.J. Simpsons and now through the Walter Paytons, the Earl Campbells, the O.J. Andersons, and has been among the very best during that entire period. Bradshaw for the sideline intended for Stallworth, couldn't hold it.
Good coverage by Eric Harris. Down there, you've got to play man-to-man coverage, and you're only allowed 1 bump in that first 5 yards. I'm sure you'll see Harris try to get one. There it is. Ball thrown behind him.
Second and goal from the 7-yard line. Franco Harris, 6 carries for 48 yards thus far. Steelers trail 10-6, but they're knocking on the door. The pitch to Franco. A sweep right. Blockers in front of him. Touchdown, Franco Harris.
Great job by Larry Brown. Right offensive tackle. See that offensive line play there. Watch 79. 270 pounds, converted tight end. Watch him plant that cornerback. 24. Gary Green. And Franco Harris waltzes in.
Now Trout, who missed his first conversion try.
And
misses this one.
Where's Chuck Noll? What's he thinking right now?
Dave Trout, the rookie from Pittsburgh, walks off, and the story which we hinted at earlier becomes bigger by the minute.
In New York at St. Louis Busch Stadium, the Dolphins are set to knock on the door once again. Otis Anderson has the ball popped loose. It wanders back about 15 yards. Finally, Gerald Small corrals it. Dolphins knocking at the door and already leading 10-0 in the second. Let's go back to Three Rivers and Bob Costas.
What you are hearing and seeing is a standing ovation for a place kicker who has missed 2 extra points. The Steeler fans trying to show that they're behind young Dave Trout. A moment ago, Chuck Noll counseled him on the sideline. Then Donnie Shell came over and talked to him. Then the entire team huddled around him. And Trout booms it into the end zone, and they won't bring it out. The adrenaline is flowing again for young Dave Trout. There was never any doubt that he could get the kickoff deep. The question is, can he put it between the uprights on the place kicks?
But, Bob, these fans know as well as you and I do that will last only so long. He has got to score points for this football team, and missing extra points, it's tough for him. I mean, I'm sure he sat in the stands here in Riverfront Stadium for a long time. From the Pittsburgh area, went to Pitt, but that honeymoon, that standing ovation for his kickoff will last a very short time.
Delaney and Hadnot are the running backs. 5:25 to play in the first half. The Chiefs trail at 12-10. Kinney will go to the air on first down. He swings it out to Delaney. Delaney, the rookie, sidesteps the tackle. Gets about 5 yards out of it. Mel Blunt makes the tackle. Blunt at 33 years of age.
Lambert.
Dwayne Woodruff now replacing Thomas. at cornerback. Or excuse me, Ron Johnson at cornerback.
Woodruff is 5'11", 198 in his third year out of Louisville. The fastest man on the team, and ordinarily they're nickelback. But pressed into regular service here. This, as we mentioned earlier, the 74th consecutive time that there have been no empty seats at a Steeler game at Three Rivers. Both receivers out to the right side. 2nd and 6 from the 24-yard line. 4:38 and counting on the second quarter clock. Delaney. Mel Blunt chased him, and several of Mel's friends found him. L.C. Greenwood led the charge.
Mel Blunt at 6'3", 205 pounds, been one of the most devastating cornerbacks in the history of the NFL, at least for the last 11 years. Did his job, turned that play in, allowed L.C. Greenwood to catch up with it. He is a tough player. Robin Cole also in there. That's a fine defense when they want to play. I think it's those black helmets. They all look like Darth Vader out there across the line of scrimmage from him.
So now it's 3rd and 8, exactly 4 minutes on the clock. Bill Kenny under pressure, looking over the middle. A wobbler finds Henry Marshall. Marshall, who caught the touchdown pass a moment ago, stays in bounds, battles for extra yardage. He's at the 45 of Kansas City for the first down.
Blunt and Shell ran into each other, Bob. Therefore, Henry Marshall wide open. So far, Kansas City's been able to protect Bill Kenny.
The touchdown earlier by Franco Harris, and here we watch Dave Trout practicing to try and avoid what's happened twice already, a missed point after. The touchdown by Harris was the 77th rushing touchdown of his career, and overall, the 83rd touchdown, rushing and passing combined, in a great NFL career.
Look at this. Look at this. Obviously something wrong with the defense. Highly unusual for Pittsburgh.
So the Steelers take a timeout they wish they didn't have to use. 3:07 remaining second quarter. Henry Marshall, who caught that last pass for the Kansas City first down, has 3 catches so far in the first half for 81 yards.
Kenny, 7 of 11 for 98 yards. That's a good first half performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though their defense against the pass last year ranked 22nd in the NFL.
Henry Marshall left, J.T. Smith to the right. Back split behind Kenny, who put it in the air on first down. Out of the pocket, hit as he throws, almost intercepted by a diving Mel Blunt, who has 46 career pickoffs, 4 of them last year. Time for an update from Bryant Gumbel in New York. Bryant?
All right, Bob, at Schaefer Stadium in Foxborough, the Patriots have taken the lead away from the Colts. This is Steve Grogan working with Carlos Pennywell. A 23-yard scoring strike. The point after has the Pats in front, 14-13 in the second. Bob?
Marv Levy along the Chiefs sideline. His club trails by a score of 12-10.
Kenny was very, very slow getting up that time, Bob. He got hit but good right in the chest.
And that rib cage is very tender, as we told you. Delayed handoff to Joe Delaney. Tripped up, stays on his feet, battles only back to maybe the line of scrimmage. Before the Steelers hold a team meeting on his body, there were about 5 black shirts there. Bob Galliano warms up.
As we said at the top of the program, Bill Kenny was not able to throw the football until actually Friday. He could throw without pain. He has a very, very painful chest injury. Got hit in the sternum, is wearing a flak jacket, but their protection does no good. It's a bruise, and it's going to take a week or so for him to get over it.
Al Dixon out, Stan Rome in, 3rd wide receiver. 3rd and 9, 46-yard line. 2:20 to play in the first half. In motion, Henry Marshall. Kenny with time, fires one right into the middle of that zone coverage, and it is intercepted by Dwayne Woodruff.
Fumble!
Woodruff fumbles, ball loose. Who's got it?
Pittsburgh. I think Henry Marshall ran the wrong pattern. Not only did Kenny throw it right to Dwayne Woodruff of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but hit him right between the numbers. Expecting Marshall to turn in, he went out.
Well, that is the second time the Chiefs have turned it over. Earlier, McKnight fumbled, and Lambert recovered it, ran it into Kansas City territory. This time, Kenny throws it right into the arms of Woodruff. And Woodruff, in the process of running it back, fumbled, but Lawrence Haves was there, the outside linebacker, to retain possession for Pittsburgh. Let's watch it again.
Nobody even close. Miscommunication somewhere.
Woodruff playing in place of Ron Johnson, who injured an ankle early in the game and is done for the afternoon. Now with 2:04 left and leading 12-10, Bradshaw goes back to work for the Steelers. To the air, that's no surprise. All kinds of time. Airs one out. A perfect strike. It's caught by Stallworth. Reverses his field. Picks up a block. And down at the 25-yard line.
Bob, there's the depth of the patterns run by the Pittsburgh Steelers receivers. He was a good 16 or 17 yards deep. And normally linebackers don't drop that far, and therefore Stallworth was standing wide open.
That works for 23. We get the 2-minute warning. Actually, there's 1:52 left in the first half. Steelers drive. Bradshaw thus far 9 of 15, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. That was an 18-yard strike to Lynn Swann. John Stallworth has caught 4 of those 9 Bradshaw completions for a total of 70 yards. The 2 touchdowns for Pittsburgh, familiar names, Bradshaw to Swann, and a scoring run by Franco Harris. An unfamiliar name, Dave Trout, missed the point after both touchdowns. It's 12-10. Steelers leading the Chiefs.
Looks like Bradshaw has called more than one play in the huddle. Hurry up offense here with 1:52 left in the first half.
Steelers have 2 timeouts remaining. And a bullet is right on target to the tight end, Benny Cunningham. Cunningham was very close to the stick, very close to the first down, and I think he has it. He does.
At the line of scrimmage now, they'll try to get another one off. They've got plenty of time. No reason to panic here.
Just inside the 15-yard line and looking to build on a 2-point lead. Bradshaw rolling left, throwing, juggled and dropped by Lynn Swann. And that's the kind that normally will not elude Lynn Swann.
That won't happen very often.
Swanee is playing with a slight problem with his right hamstring. And as we mentioned earlier, Stallworth is also banged up, a variety of ailments, and Chuck Noll wonders whether each can go all the way today. They both started, and they've been in there most of the way, but they're brittle at this point.
We've been down on Pittsburgh that they didn't play well last year, but do you realize that Swann and Stallworth together missed all 16 games last year, and they're a very, very big part of that offense. If they keep them healthy, Pittsburgh is still a juggernaut.
Cunningham goes wide to the right. They put Swann in a slot left, and Stallworth is wide left. Back
Too much time.
Behind Bradshaw. Terry looking for the end zone, throwing, broke it up. Excellent defensive play, but it might be interference. Burris, the rookie, broke it up, intended for Cunningham. If it's interference, it'll be first and goal at the 1.
That ball was snapped on 0-2 on the 30-second clock. Very, very close to being too much time.
Defensive pass interference, number 34 in the end zone. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line, first down.
Lloyd Burris, the young, strong safety, the rookie. The difference between a great defensive play and a penalty only an eyelash.
Strong arm Terry Bradshaw. Look the way he zips it in there. It's the backhand that gets the penalty. But a rookie, 3rd-round draft choice out of Maryland. He'll learn. What do you think they'll give it to here, Bob?
I think that Franco has an excellent chance to carry it.
You make an excellent coach.
A grasp of the obvious doesn't hurt. They fake it to Franco. They look to the end zone. Almost a one-handed catch by Benny Cunningham. It'll be 2nd and goal.
The fake to Bradshaw. Right behind Spaney. This ball is thrown away from the defensive back. A little wobbler. Gets his hand on. I can't blame Benny for not catching that one. That's a tough catch. Now would you give it to Harris?
Sooner or later, they're going to have to. Minute 13 remaining. Bradshaw brings them up. They lead at 12-10. Tight formation, in motion, Grossman. Franco, touchdown. Franco Harris with his 2nd touchdown carry of the day.
And on the field comes Mr. Trout. See if the 3rd time is the charm.
So Lynn Swann has caught a touchdown pass. Franco Harris has scored on the ground twice. After trailing 10-6, the Steelers now lead 18-10. Now let's see if Trout goes for the hat trick.
Trout hooked the first one, shanked the second one. And we'll see on this one.
Cole Witt is the holder. Snap is good. Placement is good. Kick is good. No flags down. Minute 10 to play first half. Steelers lead it 19-10. Happy Dave Trout. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. This is the 20th time in his career that Franco Harris has scored 2 or more touchdowns in a single game. After the interception and return by Dwayne Woodruff, it took Terry Bradshaw just 54 seconds to engineer a 5-play, 48-yard drive. And the Steelers lead at 19-10. Here is the kickoff by Trout, one of his shorter ones, but it still sends Carson a couple of yards into the end zone. Carlos Carson streaking for the sideline across the 20, 25, skips out of bounds, 30-yard line.
Now Kansas City has to put it up. They don't have a lot of time left. 1:04 in the first half. And a field goal would certainly help their attitude coming out for the second half. They've got to put it up in the air.
This first half, Bob, has been a broadcaster's dream because virtually everything we pointed out as keys to the game has figured in it. The giveaway takeaway table for Kansas City. It has not worked their way by and large. They trail by 9. We said they needed that to have a chance for the upset. We mentioned Trout. He missed his first 2, but he did nail his third.
Kenny now calling a couple of plays. It'll be the hurry-up offense. He's got enough time. Just be patient. There's Gary Dunn going off with a bad leg.
Stan Rome left side. Marshall slot left. Smith wide right. Kenny with all kinds of time. Throw over the middle and deflected, incomplete.
Good coverage.
Marshall, Rome, and J.T. Smith are all in there at the same time.
And Pittsburgh, rather unusual, something you don't see, or you didn't see out of Pittsburgh a few years ago. That is a 3-man rush.
Unless I've missed it on a play or two, we have not seen Willie Scott, the #1 draft choice out of South Carolina, at all. Chiefs are carrying 4 tight ends. Al Dixon, the starter, who frankly confesses he was shocked to even make the club, let alone be the starter with all the young tight end talent they have. Marvin Harvey, 3rd-round draft choice, and the veteran Ed Beckman also there. Beckman, excellent blocker and special teams player. Bill Kenny lobs it out to Joe Delaney. Little stutter step move. Remind me of Joe Cribbs on that play.
Now a quick play. Excuse me.
Dennis Dirk Winston in on the tackle. Go ahead, Trump.
Now a quick play at the line of scrimmage. No, they'll take the timeout.
Third down, we'll call it 4. Smith left, Marshall right. Carlos Carson also in the ballgame. 3 wide receivers. Kenny with time. Drills one right into the middle of some heavy coverage.
First down.
Henry Marshall made the catch, and it is a first down. So Marshall has had an excellent first half, which has included a touchdown catch.
You know, it's interesting here. Kansas City has called timeout, but I think Carlos Carson called timeout, and I don't believe they wanted a timeout in that situation.
We got to look at Marv Levy on the sideline. His demeanor is quite a bit different than the average NFL coach, wouldn't you say?
Yes, so is his education. He's a Phi Beta Kappa from Coe College in Iowa.
Phi Beta Kappa?
Phi Beta Kappa from Coe College in Iowa. Got that out. I believe it's in English history. Kind of difficult to get that up in that situation, but an awful nice gentleman.
Good to take the job away from Jan Stenerud. He was everything they expected and more a year ago. All right, now the Chiefs have 1 timeout left. The Steelers have 2, which at this point is academic. 19-10, Pittsburgh in front. 34 seconds to play on first down from the 45 of Kansas City. Kenny drops back and looks. He has time. And he finally unloads, and the catch is made by J.T. Smith, and Smith is brought down at the 40 of Pittsburgh. They are nearing Lowry's range. He kicked a 57-yarder a year ago.
They need a completion here.
They've got the completion. Again, J.T. Smith. And an excellent catch that time. The clock is stopped with 6 seconds, and they'll get Lowry on the field.
Well done by Kansas City. Very impressive. This drive started at their own 31-yard line. And 3 points at this juncture of the first half will do an awful lot to lift the Kansas City Chiefs. They've played very well.
And despite the encouragement that Trout has received from his teammates, his coach, and the crowd, those 2 missed extra points could very well figure in the outcome of this game. Grunt kneels just about at the 30-yard line. It's about a 40-yard attempt. Lowry was deadly accurate from this distance. 3 of 4 between 40 and 49. 7 of 9 between 30 and 39 a year ago. Overall made 20 of 26 field goal tries.
The snapper, though, is Todd Thomas out of North Dakota. The rookie 5th-round draft choice. Very, very important that this is a good snap.
They cut Charlie Ane. That opened up the job for Thomas. Waits the snap. It's a good one. The ball is down. Lowry's kick is away. Plenty long enough and good from 40.
Wow. That was a 60-yard field goal. That thing went over the wall.
The clock reads 0-0 as the kick by Lowry splits the upright. A very interesting first half comes to a close. And the score. The Pittsburgh Steelers 19, the Kansas City Chiefs 13. We'll return to Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh in just a minute.
I'd like to welcome all of you back to our NFL 81 studios in New York. I'm Brian Gumbel. We're just getting started underway in our 81 season, week number 1. It's a big doubleheader day on NBC. A lot of early returns are in. Let's try to get you caught up on just what is happening around the league. Game going on at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. There, the Steelers are taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who many people believe have the best young talent in all of football. The Steelers out in front of the Chiefs by a score of 19-13. That ball game, of course, at the half. Last year, first time in 9 years, Steelers have missed out on the playoffs, and they got a big turnover early in the ball game. This is McKnight losing the handle on the ball, and who else? Number 58, Jack Lambert, comes up with it to set the Steelers up in position for their first score of the ball game. You've seen this act before. Terry Bradshaw up top to Lynn Swan, 19 yards. Rookie Dave Trout missed the point after. It was 6-0 Pittsburgh. Chiefs came back. This is Jerry Kenny hitting number 89, Henry Marshall, with the score. Chiefs managed to take the lead at 13-6 before the Steelers came back. Watch the lead Brown here of Larry Brown. Lead block clears the way for Franco Harris and a 7-yard touchdown. That brought them to within 13-12. And then another touchdown, this one again by Franco Harris from 2 yards out, made it 19-13.
There's not been any area of